Hello everyone, Carl and Erynn here, and I got the guitar in hand. It's Valentine's Day and we're in Sligo, Ireland. Pretty amazing place to be. And we're doing a tune that fiddlers should know if they don't play it. Too Young to Marry is one name. It's got other names, I think. Erynn,
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16.
My Love Was But a Lassie Yet comes from Scotland.
There we go. And we're going to do a version from Paul David Smith from Kentucky, a wonderful fiddler and banjo player. And we were lucky enough to hear him play a bunch and get to play with him a bunch. So this is based on his version, and it's a great one to back up. So in the key of D, we'll work on that and get Erynn to fiddle it for us a couple times here. That's lovely. Thank you, Erynn. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Have
Thank
fun,
you.
Guitar players.
Bound to have fun. Bound to have a little fun, as
That's
the old
another
tune
great
goes.
tune.
It's a great tune. So we're in the key of D, as you can see. And one thing in this tune that's fun, it goes from D to A quickly. And we'll talk about ways to do that, different ways to do that. But first of all, we'll just kind of go through each part there. The thing about Paul David's fiddling, he did it every time through. He would do different maneuvers, with this. It's the kind of melody that lends itself well to improvisation. So that's a good thing you'll find. And in the chords, I think it's great to be able to do that too. So we may talk about that just a little bit. But first of all, let's just look at the first part. It's that dun dun dee da dee da dun dun. That's where you have a D and an A back to D chord. So what I've done, and I'll talk about different things. The tab I include, is one way to do it, but there's infinite ways. So keep in mind, it's a blueprint for you to take off and try all kinds of ways to do it. And so the D chord, we know D. One thing you can do, and some people do, is just bar and do that and get a bar on 2, 3, and 4 on the second fret. But what I've got in the tab is just a D chord with a 4-string bass, the 5th string open with really the first 3 strings as strummers. But you can always strum that 4th string too. So let me just do the first 4 measures and let you hear what I've got. So that's halfway through. So I've got the D chord, 4th string featured, A chord with the 5th string and strumming the first 3 strings, and back to D with the 4 and 5. Then I do the ever popular and always wonderful sounding thumb hook on the bass, 2 in the bass, thumb hook. And I climb up to the G chord there, 6th string, and the A chord. Try that a few times. That's a lovely thing. D chord, first 3 fingers of your thumb gets the 2nd fret low, to the 3rd fret for G chord, and A, 5th string. And then I walk up to the D, on 2, 4 on the 5th string, and that's just the top of the scale. Up to D. And we're going to do the same thing there, A, D, and then we walk the bass up in the G, and pick 6 and 5. And A, 5, and back to D. That's the whole first part. So let me do that a couple times. So it's going to be pretty easy in a way, but there's nothing wrong with that. It does move, depends on how fast the fiddler's playing. When you have chord changing quickly, that's a factor too. But I think most fiddlers play this about a medium train speed. So let's see. So here's the whole first part. 1, 2, 3. Da, 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 dum, ba, dum, dum, dum. Thumb hook, G to A, and a bass walk. D, A, D, walk the G low. G, 6 and 5. A chord back to repeats that. Da, 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 D and A and D chord. Thumb hook, G to the A chord. Walk up to D, D and A again. Walk to G, 6 and 5, and A. Let's do it again. That's the first part. Thumb hook, bum, 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 bam, bam. Walk to G, 6 and 5, A to D. more time. That's the first part. Try to get that melody in your head. And the same maneuvers when they recur. That makes it handy. So pretty. So one thing as far as trying different things would be playing, different inversions of a D chord and an A chord. We might talk about that before we wind up here. But let's go ahead and look at the second part. It hangs on the D. So you got a lot of D there. And all I've done is just go with the main bass, of course, is your first note to try to be aware of. In D, it's that fourth string. So you want to hit that first, usually when you're coming to a D chord. And I'm just hitting the strum on the first three and then the fifth string. So you can do that all three times around each measure. But what I've done is do that twice, 4 and 5. Then I do the thumb hook. Again, I like that thumb hook to G. I go to the thumb hook. And this time I go, instead of really playing a G chord, I just walk up to an A. So it's a thumb hook and that bass 3, 4, A chord. And I'm going to do something called the bluesy walk, which we've done on other installments. 2, 1, open. Okay? And then we're back to the second half of the second part. So the first 4 measures of the second part was that D chord 4 and 5 twice. And then I start that thumb hook and then do the walk up. So bluesy walk to A. And a bluesy walk to D. Then I'm going to do a thumb hook, the G chord. And then I do a bluesy walk down to A. So we got some nice stuff. A chord 5 and 4, D. And do it again. So let me just play it one time without talking, let you hear what's going on there. See if you can tell if it's a bluesy walk or a pretty in the scale walk. Stuff. I kind of categorize them as in the scale, what they call diatonic, which is a pretty walk right in the scale. Bluesy walk's in between the cracks where you play, maybe closer in the in-between notes, not in the scale. Chromatic, you might think. And then you also have anything goes kind of thing. So you just do whatever and get to the right note at the right time. And the brain says, I think that was okay. And it might have been the weirdest combination of notes in the world, but if the last note's correct, the listener says, wow, that was beautiful. So here's the second part, just without me talking, which is a rarity, I know, and I apologize for that. So 1, 2, second part. Both parts. First part. Repeat the first part. And something to keep in mind when you're playing backup guitar, of old time tunes or behind singing or anything, is the volume of your bass notes compared to the volume of your strum, because you really make them both very even, volume, keep them steady. Or you could try to have the bass notes a little more pronounced and the strum lighter or vice versa. It's good to be able to do all those, all the above, try it different ways. And I think one of the main things I find, it's not a fault exactly, just something you'll notice, in backup guitar players, sometimes they'll have the bass really strong and the strum will be almost non-existent. So you want to make sure you have enough strum to be heard, because that really makes a difference in supporting. If it's just a guitar and a fiddle, or even in an old-time band, that strum, really makes a difference when you give it a little more oomph. So let's just talk about a couple things when you do bass walks. A really nice factor before I wind up here in a few moments or a few minutes is when you do a bass walk, like a G bass walk, that right there, you've got 3 notes there to explore. One thing, you could slide. You could slide to a note. You could slide it on 2 notes even. And you can also double up on any of those 3 notes. So if I double up by that, I mean, we got like long notes, right? Long. It's a slow bass walk. But you could go quick bass. Well, one note, double up, double boom boom, or boom 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 boom, or boom 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 boom. Sounds goofy, I know. Sounds like anyway. Here, so in other words, that G walk, if I was doing it straight, all slow, low, middle, or the top note. I'll try again. Low twice, middle straight, the middle note doubled, and the top note doubled. And the listener might not even notice the difference, but it's a subtle difference, but very fun to build any of those walks, especially the 3-note walk like that. Let me just play, just to let you hear what that would sound like. I'll see if it works, the concept. I'll play the first part and try to double up on any of those 3-note bass walks I have. I'll try to do the little double note on the first of the 3 bass walk notes. Let's see what that sounds like. See if you notice a difference that's worth trying. So. Slow, so here's going to be one here. That was one, right? And here's one. So you only had a couple of places. First part again. Second part, see what happens here. So I'll do the same thing there. Pretty cool. So just that little double is a kind of a driving thing. If you have a fiddle tune or you're playing for a dance or something, that can be a driving factor, just a little bit of that, maybe sliding into a note or doubling up on one of your bass notes there. So one of the last thing I think I'll wind up with here is, of course, try to check out Paul David Smith. I think you can go to YouTube is one way to find him. And sometimes your search, you have to experiment a little bit. Paul David Smith, it might be Kentucky Fiddle, or the title Too Young to Marry, or just experiment and look online just under his name and see what pops up. You can use those as search terms to find him. So one thing is doing a nice just playing D chords in different places. Let's just look at a couple of things to try. Like your D chord here, this D shape, it has 3 notes in the chord. If you go up to the next 3, if each one of these is like a starting point, I'm not going to go crazy here with the theory, but the next one's going to be, this is a D shape, and when you play your A chord, that's kind of an A shape. If I look at my first 3 strings, you can see the shape of a regular D chord. That's going to be movable. If I move that up to the 7th fret, same shape, there's my G, and I move it a whole step from G to A. Okay, and if I move my A shape, this is just with an open string, try that, just 2, 2, and open on the first 3 strings. That's my A. If I move that down to the 5th fret, just think about A. It's a whole step to B, would be on the 2nd fret. C's a half step, and then a whole step to D. So there's my D going from the 3rd string, 7, 7, 5. And my A chord, well, let's look at one other thing. If I play an E chord here on the first 3 strings, that's going to be a shape I have to bar that. If I want to play an F, we know I'll do a little small F, right? So these are movable shapes. If you just think of non-open strings, especially first of all, think of the first 3 strings as your skateboard. There's an F chord. G would be the 3rd, A's the 5th, and remember, E to F's a half step and B to C, and then I got B, C on 8, and D's on 10. So using those 3 shapes, here's a really good thing you can start working on. Do your D chord shape, and that has the name of your chord in the middle string. Your bar F shape for G, thinking of the chords of the key of D. That's a root top. Your G's the 1st string, and then A the 2-2 open is the 3rd string. So you got the root on 3 different strings. Root middle, you could call it. Root top is that F or E kind of shape. And the A shape is root bottom. So just that part of the tune that goes from D and A and D. Listen what that sounds like. We know this one. If I move that up here, it's going to be the A shape, 7, 7, 5, and the F kind of shape on 5. So just doing that would sound good. And then the last one's going to be on the 10th fret, the F kind of small F shape, which is 11, 10, 10, and the D shape on 9. So you can just start working on playing the inversions of those 3 shapes for that little part. D and A, and you can play more notes, but just think of the first 3 strings as, kind of finding your way. Or here. And you have a nice pedal tone. That 4th string's a nice, you can kind of keep that. You can use that for the start here. And you can always travel to the next one. So a good exercise, not even worried about the tune, is just going from D to A to D, something like this. I'm going to wind up with this. Maybe start up on 10 with the F shape, and then the D shape on 9, and back to there, and just do that. The next one's going to be 7, 7, the A shape. Think about where the root is, the 3rd string, and the F or E shape on 5, like a small F. Back to there, and then down to regular old D, and use that pedal D for fun. So it gets kind of more hypnotic and drony and trance-like, doing that kind of stuff. The pedal tone is a good concept. So anyway, I think you'll find Too Young to Marry a great tune to back up. And a lot of fiddlers will know different versions of it. So sometimes those G and A chords might last longer. Like he has a little carryover there, which is kind of cool on his phrasing. So check out Paul David Smith, a wonderful fiddler and banjo player. Had a really great banjo style. And keep on picking. So thanks a bunch. Take care. Happy Valentine's Day.